knows football is more than a game. It's a lifeline, a place to belong, to heal, to dream again. From refugee stories to Oxford pitches, Youcef are building a team and a future. This is Quiet Legends.
Cool. So I'm Youcef El-Barhdadi, manager of Oxford Phoenix FC, which is a refugee-focused football team in Oxford.
Right, so your story begins with football and migration. So how did your personal background inspire your current work?
Cool. So I've always been a huge football fan since I was 4 years old. My dad is a refugee from Algeria. He was kicked out in 1975. And yeah, I suppose the two have aligned really amazingly well in this particular project. So I've been running this project for 4 years. So I'm super happy with where this has gone. I suppose there was nothing really for my dad when he came over in the mid 80s, 90s, in terms of any kind of support for refugees, in terms of that therapeutic side of it, which of course football is. So yeah, that's kind of how they aligned.
At what point did you see football as more than a game and instead a bridge for healing and belonging?
I'd say when I was young, I'd always play football, and I noticed that if I had any frustration, it would kind of seem to be quashed whenever I stepped over the white line. So it was from a super early age I realised that yeah, football can heal potential stresses and frustrations. And we've just taken that to the nth degree in supporting refugees and asylum seekers who of course have their own trauma, their own complex trauma as well. So and we've seen since I started working on the project 4 years ago, we've seen a huge change in many of those young men.
As you mentioned, the Oxford Phoenix started in 2021. How much has it grown since, and what has inspired you most along the way?
Well, we started with 3 boys, and then from that period we've seen so many more join. We've seen people who don't really care so much about football just come down and enjoy the community aspect of what Oxford Phoenix FC provides. We've seen such amazing stories. Jamal, for example, ended up winning Young Player of the Year at a local football club in East Oxford. We also saw Mahawi Tedros went to Summertown last season and also won an award for Most Improved Player. But away from those accolades, we've just seen those young men just become more confident in themselves as they integrate into this country. I think it's so challenging for a refugee or an asylum seeker coming from a different country to live here without the fear, I suppose, of feeling alienated. I think that's the same. It's not specific to this country, it's just living in a different country. There is that feeling of alienation. So what the football project or what Oxford Phoenix FC represents is that community aspect, that belonging that they have. So they have their own kit now, they have their own badge, they have their own team name, which they've all come up with themselves. So it's theirs, it's that sense of community, I'd say.
So what does inclusion in football look like up close, like beyond access to impact?
I get asked this question about inclusion and trauma-informed approaches quite often, and nobody seems to really know what inclusion or trauma-informed stands for. Not saying that I have a perfect answer for this, but I have my own experience, and for me inclusion is about allowing people from different backgrounds or different creeds or different religions or different social standings to all be able to support each other in one environment. The level of, I suppose when we use the term also trauma-informed, what that means to me is that the young people who are part of the project, they have a say and they're able to it's a reciprocal process where the young people are able to say how they want the project to look. It's not just a person who's running the project saying this is what it is. There's a symbiotic relationship, I suppose.
So players say they have been able to forget the bad things for football. So what helps create that space of safety?
I'd say the coaching is one part which I'll take credit for. But no, I think it's having people who are like them in that environment. I think it's so challenging for young refugees who don't speak the language to go into local football clubs. They all love football, right? But to go into a local football club where they don't have, where there may be misunderstandings of who they are, there may be difficulties for them to get their points across as well because of the language. I think Oxford is incredibly open, and every football club that I've worked with has been amazing in terms of supporting refugees. But then for them, they need to have kind of a controlled environment of where they can grow and thrive before then going to integrate in a kind of into wider society. So yeah, what it has, or what is important in terms of helping them forget the bad things in quotes, is just having a feeling of familiarity and comfort in an environment, and then that then helps build up their resilience, and then they can then fly the nest in quotes.
Can you share a moment where you notice someone's confidence truly shift from training to playing the league?
I mean, I could give you an example of someone from the last month or so. There's a young player who came in very shy, but also full of quite a lot of aggression. And I spoke with the coaches, and we thought, we can channel this, we can kind of work with this. And he's only 16 years old, but he's so brave on the football pitch. So he's like our nutter, in quotes, fullback. He's amazing. But I've seen him become calmer in the environment, but still have that aggression when it goes onto a football pitch, but in such a, I don't know, kind of an organic way, where it's just being aligned, I suppose. But that's not necessarily coming from the coaches. That comes from him as well, but it comes from him feeling comfortable around his peers, because usually that aggression comes from somebody just feeling just misplaced, you know. And I think many of us can relate to that, when maybe we'll feel upset or frustrated, and that frustration could come out in a number of different ways if we feel misunderstood. So I suppose, kind of relating back to what I previously said, it's about those young people being understood as well. But he's one example. Another example would be, without mentioning too many names, but I mean, I'll say Stephen, one of the players, who's from the East Timorese community. He's developed into this amazing young man. He's now, I think, paid to play as a semi-professional footballer. He's recently signed for a football club. He came to us about 3 years ago, and he was really shy, but he's developed immensely. He's a leader on the pitch, a leader off the pitch. He's now trying to bring in an East Timorese football club into the league next year, which we had discussions about earlier today. So he's got like these amazing plans, and I think a lot of that has just come from him being understood, you know, in the environment. So yeah, we like to think that we water the plants, and then they grow.
All right. So you're aiming to become the county's first refugee squad in the official league.
Mm-hmm.
What barrier stand in the way?
If I speak honestly, I think I worry about people's perceptions, and I don't want us to just be labelled as the refugee football club. I want us to be seen as a football club, and I know that when we win games, people will be frustrated, you know, in the nice way possible. When we lose games, people won't be frustrated. So I'm aware that I need to protect the players, and I'm aware that you know, they have to have kind of, to put this in the nicest and most diplomatic way, we're a very polite team, and there's a reason we have to be polite, you know. So we're doing our best. I think being polite is incredibly important just in general day-to-day life, but we know that we will be picked on if we step out of line, perhaps. But challenges that we find, I think the main challenge is travel. We've got a minibus, which luckily we've been able to rent from Barton Community Centre, and sometimes from Rose Hill Community Centre, which allows us to get to away games, as many of the boys are about 16 to 20 years old. They just don't have the means to travel. They don't have the means to have a car, or to get a driving license, to do their lessons. most of them do work, but they work part-time. Most of them are in college, so obviously they're going to be part-time, they're young men. So many of them are just not in that financial position. But all the stereotypes of they come over here and they don't work, it's not true because I've seen it. They do work. They just need a bit of a break to enjoy life as well because they've had such a tough upbringing to come here. Many of them have left so many, they've left family members behind, and they're here to kind of, give themselves a better life, There's some unimaginable trauma from some of them. And I don't like to ask those questions, but I do hear it. It's not my position to know or to ask, but I do hear it, and it's amazing that they step on a football pitch and they are still enjoying life, when you hear some of the stories.
Yeah, it's almost like when you step on a football pitch, like nothing else really matters. There's no sort of language barriers, whether it's sports or art forms or
Absolutely, yeah, no, that's exactly it. You'll have someone who speaks Farsi, you'll have somebody who speaks Pashto, you'll have someone who speaks Amharic, Arabic, English. There's such a mix of languages, and whilst they are all languages that aren't English, they may not be able to communicate with each other. But as soon as they start playing football, it's no problem. Our fullback is from Afghanistan, our centre back is from Sudan, our midfielder is from Sierra Leone, our winger is from Eritrea. It's a global game, football, and it's great to bring kind of that global nature of football to Oxford.
so cool. Or like a super team almost. We didn't know that Premier League super team.
Yeah, I
Play
think
from everyone.
I think we'll go with that. Yeah, why not?
Right, so back to that sort of barriers. How are you navigating language, funding, so infrastructure barriers, especially with players who are wide with like almost little to no English?
When I was younger, I went and studied Arabic in Morocco for about 3 months, and I didn't really pick up much, despite my parents being Moroccan, Algerian. My Arabic's always been a bit shonky, I suppose, but it's the best way to put it. I understand most things, but speaking it sometimes can be a bit difficult. So I remember this teacher I had, he would mix English with Arabic, and he came up with this term, mumtastic, right, or mumtastic. And mumtastic means, well, it comes from mumtaz, which is excellent in Arabic, and fantastic, obviously, which is fantastic in English. So he created this term, mumtastic. So whenever I coach, I have these kind of phrases that kind of cover both bases, where you've got a bit of Arabic or a bit of English, one that fits in both worlds. The one that I think works all the time, and I think people will recognise this word, is habibi. I call everyone habibi, and even when you say habibi, you smile, you naturally do. So that positive energy that you're giving to the players, it allows them to feel a lot more comfortable. So yeah, I think that's the best way to put it.
Right, so looking ahead, what does success look like for the club, for the participants, or for Oxford as a whole?
Success for us is to keep doing this, but success for us is to see others do this as well. Like, we are pioneers in this space in terms of the first ones to enter the league. It's true. We're not the first ones to try this. We're not the first ones to have these ideas. There's some great work that's been done in Oxford previously, especially you've got the Leeds Lions team, which is the asylum-seeking team, and that's run by Kirk Smith and Dominic Metz, and they've done some amazing work to have that football team, and we play that team once a year as well. We've got some amazing links with them. But in terms of what needs to be done in this space, there needs to be attention given to the difficulties that we have as a team. Like, we can't operate without funding. It's that simple, and I will find funding anywhere. Like, I will somehow find it. I'm very, very fortunate in that way with my links around Oxford, but it's not always enough. Us being pioneers is a challenge, but it's a beautiful challenge, and it's something we're so excited to be able to do this year, But yeah, that's probably it, yeah.
And do you imagine this work growing? Do you think about a women's team, youth program, more football helps across the county?
Yeah, I mean it's early days. Obviously, we've just got the team in the league, but we've got so many in the group chat. It only makes sense for us to look for a development team next year. That would be on the proviso that we get promoted, because they can't be in the same league because we're currently in Division 4. So we'd have to work really hard to get ourselves promoted, which would then allow us to have a development team. But yeah, I mean, a lot of teams have taken our players on board. So there could be a conversation with a local club where it could be their development team where we support. A women's team is something that I've been pushing for a long time. We've got some we've had some great conversations with Oxford University. They're very supportive of the project. The issue, of course, is always around funding. But we're pioneers in this space, and we want to continue being pioneers in this space. And it'd be amazing to have a women's team in the near future. I think it has to also be organic. We want to have female coaches there as well. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, I think, for the next 12 months to 24 months.
Okay, so what legacy do you hope Oxford Phoenix leaves, both on and off the pitch?
In terms of on the pitch, we want to be competitive, of course, but we want to change opinions from, you know, I think we don't want people to perceive refugees as weak or begging for help or handouts. We want them to be seen as human. That's the legacy, you know, it's humanising people. That's both on the pitch and off the pitch. I want to, you know, my dream is to see other teams do this. You know, I want to see this happen in other cities. It's not just Oxford. I know that there are refugees all over the country who need support, and they need that therapeutic help which comes through football. It doesn't have to be football. It could be a basketball team. It could be a netball team. It could be anything. But I just want to see more of this, quite simply. I've got close connections with a lot of projects in London who are working hard on creating similar things. So yeah, I'd love to be part of a lot of that as well. I'd love to continue growing this into the future.
Right, lastly, for anyone that's watching this, if they want to get involved and help in any way, what's the best way to get in touch, or how can they contribute to help?
So you can find us on Instagram, Oxford Phoenix FC. Alternatively, you can find our TikTok, which is run by the boys. The music choice is a bit questionable, but you know, you can see kind of the stuff that we do there as well. But you can also get in contact with myself, which is Youcef @asylumwelcome.org. It's a bit wordy, so we'll leave a link. We'll leave a link here, exactly. But yeah, you can just contact us through those ways. Alternatively, you can just contact Asylum Welcome directly, give them a call, give them an email, just ask about the football team. We are reliant on volunteers. We've had some amazing volunteers who've supported the project so far, but unfortunately many of them are quite young and going back to university. So for our actual league setup, we will need some more people supporting. So yeah, and I mean, it doesn't matter your age. If you think that you could bring something to the project, you know, please get in contact. Whether you're 18 or whether you're 75, you know, there's things to learn for us, to learn from you, but also from you to learn from us. The main thing I always look at with the volunteers as well is it's not about you just helping us with our project. I want to know how we can support your growth as well. So there's been a few of the volunteers who have improved immensely in their coaching. There's a few who have improved immensely in their, you know, funding bid writing and these types of things. So yeah, volunteering it's a responsibility, and please reach out.